All right, everybody, we are back here again. Our next guest is another pod matcher I found, and we got to know each other a little bit. I always try my best to relate to other people in any way possible, regardless of the age gap or difference in ethnicity or different disability, whatever. I just try to figure out how similar we are because I think we spend so much time in life pointing out each other's differences. And her and I got to bond a little bit a few days ago and got to know each other and become friends, and it was really nice. And she has a story of her own, so I'll let her share it. Do you want to tell us your name and a little bit about yourself? And I know you want to do your trigger warnings.
My name is Adriene Caldwell. I am presently leading a life that if you had asked me 25 years ago if I thought it would even be remotely possible that I'd be living the life that I am today, I would have said not in my wildest dreams. So I am incredibly fortunate, incredibly blessed to have a wonderful life now. Unfortunately, that was not always the case. I'd like to go ahead and cover some trigger warnings. That way, not everything will come up during this conversation, but I want to have it covered. I don't want to inadvertently traumatize or trigger anyone. So the trigger warnings for my book and for this episode are emotional and physical abuse, the sexual assault of a child, the drowning death of a child, extreme poverty, mental illness, homelessness, abusive foster care, pedophilia, graphic sexual descriptions, violence, bulimia, incest, death, and suicide. So please, if any of these topics trigger you, please proceed with caution. These are some very deep, often disturbing issues, and I really just want to make sure that our listeners are protected and prepared.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
it's the first time I've ever had a trigger warning, but yeah, I mean, probably should for some of these because I've had a lot of people on with all kind of traumatic issues and struggles in their lives, and sometimes because I don't get to, I got to know a little bit more, but some I don't. And so you just kind of go into a story and then it goes down this path and you're like, wow, okay, I didn't see that coming. So, no.
Right.
But I appreciate you doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the story I would like to share with everyone, rather than just doing the laundry list of, everything that happened and trying to cover everything, I'm going to share one story. I was 5 years old. My family was originally in Fayetteville, North Carolina. My grandfather moved the family to Houston and then absconded with his mistress, which meant we could no longer afford the rental home that we were in. We had to move into a 2-bedroom complex, and I have a rather large family. And at this apartment complex, there was a grassy area where kids could run and play, like a courtyard, a grassy courtyard. Mm-hmm. And it was my friend Jane. She was my age, 5 years old. My little boyfriend, Mikey. We held hands and, 5 years old, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. And we were in the courtyard, and this man had a black Labrador, I believe it was. And we were having so much fun chasing this dog around in circles, and he was playing with us and jumping. And my grandmother heard the noise because, we were young. We were squealing and happy and making noise. And she came out and she talked to the dog's owner, who was standing right there, Mr. Montgomery. In fact, Mr. Montgomery actually lived in the apartment complex that we did. So my grandmother came out. She saw that we were having fun and doing well and everything was okay. So she went back into the house. Now, about 15, 20 minutes later, Mr. Montgomery tells the three of us, Mikey, Jane, and myself, that the dog needs to go for his walk in the woods and would we like to accompany him? And so we all say, yeah, absolutely. So Mr. Montgomery holds Jane's hand and they're walking in front and I'm holding Mikey's hand and we're walking behind them. And Mikey and I come to two rocks. They're about the size of a brick each. We would have to step over these rocks to keep moving forward, to continue following Mr. Montgomery and Jane. And it was at those two rocks that something in me told me that I was in danger and that this was not right. And I dropped Mikey's hand and I hauled butt to my apartment complex. And I burst through the door and I said, Mr. Montgomery has Jane in the woods. And my uncle, who was also living in the apartment, he darted out the door and ran to the woods. And he came back into our apartment, and I will never forget this. Jane, my friend, was laying across his arms, and her entire dress from waist down was covered in blood. And my uncle was screaming at me, get out of here, go to your room, get out of here, you can't be here. He was trying to protect me from seeing, but I had already seen the damage done to Jane. And what I would learn later was that Mr. Montgomery used twigs and branches to violate Jane's tiny body. And I would hear that she was in the hospital. She had to have numerous surgeries, and they were not certain that she was ever going to be able to have children as a result of what that man did to her. So that evening, I'm in a police constable car. I'm sitting in the front, and he's interviewing me, asking me for details about Mr. Montgomery. What was he wearing? What did he look like? All of those things. And a few days later, they actually found him. And he went to prison for 3 years. He probably destroyed that girl's ability to have children, and he served 3 years. That's it.
Wow.
But that incident was where I first started to learn that little girls are vulnerable. And one of my key takeaways was that inner voice when something in me says something's not right, I learned to listen to it.
Yeah.
And I felt intense relief that it didn't happen to me. But along with that relief, I felt incredible guilt because it happened to Jane. I knew it wasn't my fault, but there was always, as a 5-year-old, what if I had been able to stay with her? What if I could have gotten her to come back with me? I don't think Mr. Montgomery, the man, would have allowed that. But, and if I had tried, who knows? Mikey and I might have gotten pulled into it. The man, he was a grown man and we were 5-year-old children. But just the guilt of being grateful that it didn't happen to me and knowing that it happened to one of my little girlfriends, it was survivor's guilt. And I went through that. And of course, in my family, mental health was not discussed. In my family, they consider it, made up science. It's not real. It's
Yeah,
it's made up.
Right. Yeah, we talked about this the other day because I told you about my grandmother and that time, her being 92. It's just they didn't discuss that. Mental health was not something was a real thing.
Exactly. And my family, we never discussed Jane other than for me to overhear the remarks about, the hospital, the surgery, and her maybe not being able to have children. No one sat down and talked to me about the experience. I was 5 years old and left on my own to process these emotions that I had no idea how to deal with. And that is very much a recurring theme in my life and in my family, where I did not have the support of a functional, complete family. So that's my story about Jane. And do you have any questions about it? Was there anything I was unclear on, or?
No, you were very clear and concise about it. I'm just listening.
Okay.
No, but I appreciate you sharing. Yeah, no, because like I said, I've gotten to know you a little bit, and I never knew what direction you were going to go with it, but I think we all get that at some point. I remember when I was a kid, being in the hospital, and there was this other little boy, and I forget his name. We became close in the hospital, he and I, and he didn't make it. I was supposed to die also.
Oh, God.
We had two different conditions, but we became very good friends for a month or whatever it was.
Right.
He didn't make it, and I think there were, even in my little young brain, there was a part of me that was just like, well, where is he? Like, why am I still here?
Right.
So, no, I can relate.
Right. Was there anything you could have done to prevent it? Could you have changed it?
No.
At least that's what it was for me.
Right.
That's how I felt. What could I have done? What should I have done? Did I do the right thing?
Yeah, because sometimes your basic instincts kick in, and you're so bent on just protecting yourself that you kind of lock up, and then it's like, oh, and then afterwards you're like, man, I could have also protected this person and that person, but it was fight or flight, and in this moment I flew.
Yeah, I don't think I could have. I mean, I was a 5-year-old little girl.
Right.
I don't, I think if I had tried to engage with the man, he would have grabbed us, and we would have been victims as well. I think we came very, very close, and my poor friend Jane, she went through it, and they were walking ahead. There was no way for me to casually get her attention and draw her away. They were leading the way on the path with the dog in front. And it's important to understand that. She was holding his hand. It was my boyfriend and me, my 5-year-old boyfriend and me. We were behind. And coming to those rocks was when my inner voice said, run, you are in danger. This is dangerous. You are going to be hurt. And that voice has saved me numerous times. I listen to it. It may not be completely logical or reasonable, but when I get the feeling that I'm in danger or that something isn't right, I listen to it, because it has saved me on numerous occasions. Absolutely numerous occasions. Now, go ahead.
No, I hear you. Yeah. I always said if I were to listen to my intuition or listen to that extra voice, I probably would be right 100% of the time. Sometimes I deviate from it, and and I don't stick with the plan, unfortunately. But yeah,
one of my best pieces of advice is to listen to your inner voice. I mean, we have a sixth sense. It's not even logical. It's not rational. But when your body tells you to be afraid or that you're in a dangerous situation, listen to it.
Sure. No, absolutely. You talked a little bit about your family earlier. Can you talk a little bit more about your upbringing?
Sure. So my grandfather retired from the Navy, ended up moving to Fayetteville, North Carolina, and then he moved the family to Houston. He said there were job prospects and we'd be able to have a better life. What he was actually doing was getting us out of North Carolina. Once we were in the rental house, the one that after he left we couldn't afford, once we were in the rental house, he took my grandmother's inheritance along with money that he had been saving over the years. Like my aunts and uncles, my grandmother, they lived in poverty. They used powdered milk, not liquid milk. Leftovers were never thrown away. They lived a very, very meager existence. And so we moved to Houston. My grandfather leaves with the woman he's been having an affair with for like the past 20 years. He did make the promise to the mistress. He said, let my children grow up and then I will leave and go be with you. And that's exactly what he did. So when we could no longer afford the rental house, we got a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was my grandfather, my Uncle James, my Aunt Juanita, Uncle Tom, my mother, me. We shared that apartment until we eventually kind of splintered. The siblings got boyfriends and girlfriends and moved out and moved on. But we come from a Navy family, so my aunts and uncles are very much used to moving every 3 to 4 years, and they learned very quickly that the only people they could trust or become close to were their family members, because the family members weren't going away. They weren't changing. So the family pitched in. One uncle had to quit high school so that he could go to work to help support and pay for the apartment. It was a dark time, but my mother was schizophrenic and physically abusive and had exhibited very strange behavior. So we were in this apartment together. One example, she made me eat beans with every single meal: breakfast, lunch, dinner. Every single meal. Mm. And the only person that could talk to my mom and get her to see reason or have her correct anything with how she was treating me was my grandmother. My grandmother was my saving angel. She interceded on my behalf with my mother. And when my grandmother died when I was 7 years old, I say that is when my childhood ended. I was no longer a child. I was responsible for raising myself, and I was responsible for taking care of my mother as much as I could. So, and the aunts and uncles, as they broke away and they got their own apartments, they would help when we would show up on their doorstep saying, we have nowhere else to go. But it felt very much out of sight, out of mind. You know, there were times where my mom tried to live on her own. One instance, I think it was second grade, she got an apartment. We had no furniture, not even a mattress on the floor. When I say no furniture, I mean nothing. No furniture. And she was working at Luby's, and she would actually take me to Luby's. It became a thing that we would do. She would take me, and we would get Luby's. I would get the fried catfish, the macaroni and cheese, and the broccoli. It's what I ordered to this day. And it's actually something I still do with my daughter. I take my daughter to Luby's because I don't have very many happy memories with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
but that was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we ended up unable to remain in that apartment, and we ended up with one of my aunts, with Aunt Juanita. Oh, I shouldn't use their real names.
It's all right.
Okay. We can edit that out, right?
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, we ended up there, but it was kind of out of the pot into the fryer kind of thing. So my family would accept us, would take us in, but only when we were standing on their doorsteps. They had, and to be fair, they had their own lives. They were struggling to make it. Nobody was rich. You know, they had all gotten abandoned by their father. He had taken all the savings. It was a struggle, but it was a struggle that the family came together. Everybody contributed. My mom was working 2 jobs, and my grandmother was watching me. In fact, when we'd go for car rides, so I was this petite, platinum blonde, baby white hair, hazel eyes, petite, just adorable. My grandmother had a Mercury Cougar, and because I was so little, if I sat in the passenger seat, all I could see was the dashboard, like the glove compartment. So my grandmother, bear in mind, this is like the early 80s, she would sit me on top of her console when we were driving. Now, this was obviously before mandatory seatbelts. If she had ever gotten in a wreck, I would have gone flying straight out the windshield. But it was a different time. So losing my grandmother really upset the order of things. And I lost my savior. I lost my protector. So, yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm very close to my grandmother, as I've said many times. And I think my mom's probably more my protector, but nonetheless, it's, there's there's a lot of people in your life that you just can't replace. But there's definitely a few that, no matter what, you can try to fill it with 30 other people, it won't happen. They're just too important.
Right. That was my grandmother. There was a debate about allowing me to go to the funeral, and I advocated ferociously. I wanted to go. I wanted the chance to see her. And as we were in the procession line, it was my turn up at the casket, and I was crying, and tears were falling onto the casket. And one of my uncles, the kind of butthead uncle, he told me to stop crying. I was messing up the casket. And my other uncle told him to shut up and leave me alone. So definitely different. It's amazing to me how they were all raised in the same house, but they were all so very different. And my mom's schizophrenia, there were things that happened with her dad that I think contributed, like jump started the schizophrenia. Okay. So, yeah. It was traumatic. And by the time I graduated high school, I had gone to over 13 different schools.
Wow. She moved a lot?
Yes. Every 6 months to 1 year. And it was challenging, but I didn't know the social norms and customs. We were a poor family, and the only thing I was really good at and excelled at was school. I knew how to behave. I knew how to act. I was very smart. I got top marks, top grades. And it was my safe space. In school, I know no one would hurt me, and that I would be admired or held up as an example. And that my mother, even when she was not well, she told me, Adrienne, getting A's is how you're going to get out of this life. Your education is going to save you from leading this life yourself. And she was exactly right. So, took about a decade of learning experiences, which, we can cover later.
Sure.
I say don't learn from learn from my mistakes. Don't make the mistakes I did. But
when was like because we're kind of going into the mental health part of it. When was your like real first suicide attempt?
16 years old. No, 15. No, 14 or 15. It wasn't a true suicide attempt. Like, I have scars, but it wasn't. Yeah, I had taken a Bic shaving razor apart and had cut on my wrist, and by that time I was living in therapeutic foster care with the bitch from hell. That's her official name. It is the bitch from hell. That's her title, and I will not give her a name. She does not deserve a name after what she did to the foster girls and me. So that was it. But later on, I got a hold of razor blades. I took down bottles of pills. One of my most severe suicide attempts, I didn't even realize it was severe. I was just angry and acting out. So I downed a bottle of Tylenol. And I was later told I was lucky that I didn't have permanent liver damage, or that my liver didn't fail completely. So what I thought was just acting out and just fine, I'll take this bottle because I didn't have anything else, it really could have killed me. Sure. But the most notable suicide attack was when I had my little cousin go get me his dad's gun. And I had a 6-pack of Bud Light. I was driving up and down Houston freeways. I live in Houston, Texas. I finished the 6-pack. I pulled over to the side of the highway. I fired a test shot into the field. I got back in my car. I got nervous, so I took the gun apart. When I got back to the apartment complex my parking spot, I put the gun back together. I put it to my temple, and I pulled the trigger twice. Not once, twice. The first time it just went click, and just without a second thought, I just pulled the trigger again, click. And I looked at it. I looked at the gun carefully to understand what had gone wrong, and the safety had engaged by not even a millimeter. I'm talking the breadth of a hair. That's how little the safety engaged. But it stopped my plans. My aunt, I have an aunt and an uncle that raised me, and she told me to come down to her beauty shop, and she promised me she would not call the cops. And, I'm waiting at the light, about to go to her parking lot in front of her shop. I pull in, and all of a sudden I'm surrounded by 4 or 5 police cars. And one of them approaches me, gun drawn, and says, "Where's the gun?" I say, "It's in the passenger seat." So another officer goes around and gets it. And I'm handcuffed, put in the back of the cruiser, taken to a psych facility. And that night, I put myself in a room. It was dark. There was only a little window off to the side that let the fluorescent lighting in from the rest of the ward. And that night, I felt a deep, divine peace come over me. I had never felt this before. I didn't know exactly what it was. But after being with that feeling, I knew that God was not going to let me leave this earth until I had achieved my purpose. Now, what that purpose was or is, still not sure.
Right.
But it was the last time I ever attempted suicide. And my aunt told me that if I did not get help, that my uncle was going to press charges because I stole his gun. I mean, I believe that's felony. So I could be wrong about that, but I stole his gun and he had 2 years to press charges. And if I didn't get therapy, then he was going to press charges and have me put in jail because I needed help. So
now what stopped you from just turning this safety off again and trying again?
I had pulled the trigger to a gun pressed against my temple twice. I didn't have it in me a third time.
Okay.
I maybe in the back of my mind, I thought maybe this isn't meant to happen. I knew my aunt was calling because my little cousin had told her that I had come and gotten the gun from my uncle's closet. So she knew and she was calling. And I just, when you pull the trigger twice and it doesn't happen, even though it's your every intention, there's a letdown. There's a come down from it. And I couldn't bring myself to do it a third time. When I got my aunt on the phone and she was telling me to come to the shop, I couldn't do it again.
Oh, that's good.
And then that evening in the psych ward, feeling what I did, it was a divine peace that came over me. So I knew there would be no regret about
just even attempting
the suicide.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I had attempted so many suicides at this point that, there was no regret. One suicide attempt, I was blackout drunk. So when I was drinking, I was taking Prozac, which for those who don't know, do not drink and take Prozac. You black out. I was a completely functional blackout drunk. I downed a bottle of pills, blackout drunk. So even my subconscious self wanted to die, wanted to end it. And the next day I woke up in the hospital and I swore to my aunt that I didn't take pills. And they showed me the toxicology report where it proved that I did take those pills. Because in my mind, I didn't. I didn't remember the blackout. I didn't remember taking the pills. And when I got my car back a few days later, there was, sorry, it's graphic, but there was vomited pills along my steering, along the dashboard of my car. Your body, people don't realize this, but your body works really, really hard to keep you alive. Yeah. So taking pills isn't as easy as it sounds.
No, it's kind of a real gamble because I know a lot of people have tried that with all sorts of pills, and I know so many of them, obviously they're all still alive, and some of them have multiple attempts with just trying whatever kind of pills, and you can really mess yourself up. But sometimes you wake up and you're actually alive, and you're left with the regret, but also whatever damage the medication did to you, because you're not supposed to take, a medication in abundance. So
the paramedics actually told me I'd have a better chance dying on a Xanax by choking on it instead of taking a bottle.
Okay.
So they almost kind of ridiculed me
Sure.
for taking Xanax. But yeah, this is it's. I am truly blessed to be where I am today, and I am grateful for every experience that I have had because it has made me who I am today. I am strong. I am resilient. I I set my mind to things and I make them happen.
Sure.
So
That's one of
it was brutal. The foster care was one of the most my schizophrenic, physically abusive mother. I've never had a nightmare about her. The bitch from hell, the female foster parent, I've had nightmares about her up until 2 years ago where I wake up sobbing. That's how awful life was with her. And I don't want to get into it too much. I want to leave some things for the book.
Right.
So.
No, I hear you. Yeah, you don't really know what you're capable of or what you're, capable of enduring until later in life when you realize, like, man, I made it through all that. Like, how am I still here? And then something happens to you.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, something that randomly happens to you that probably would be traumatic to most people. But then you're just like, it didn't really bother me. Like, it did, but it didn't. Like, in a way that it could literally change someone's life or affect them in a totally different way. Whereas, for you or for me or for whatever, you're just looking at it like, yeah, that was unpleasant, but I'm all right. I'm good.
And that is so true. That is so, so true. I've had so many experiences and, everything's relative. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Would it be okay if I went ahead and introduced my book and my website?
Sure. Why not?
All right. So my book is Unbroken, Life Outside the Lines. And if you go to Unbroken Caldwell, so Unbroken, Broken, Caldwell, CALDWELL.com, there are multiple pages where you can sign up, just your name and your email, and I give a free chapter of my book, and I promise not to spam you, listeners. I will not spam you. Your email address will only be used to notify you when the book is available. And I expect the book to be available in September. That is my goal. So definitely go to the website, read the chapter, and if it catches you, go ahead and order. I'm going to be running specials on the book, so it'll be 99 cents or $2.99. But yes, and just again, please remember the trigger warnings. It's in my book as well. I don't want anyone inadvertently traumatized or triggered.
Right.
But
I know before I do forget, I wanted to kind of talk at least a little bit about the disabilities that you have, because that came later.
Sure. I don't talk about it in this book. Okay. This book is early childhood to, say, mid-20s, early 20s. But when I was 35 years old, I started having intense joint pain as well as severe lower back pain. And after about 2 years, I was eventually diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. Every day I get up, I am in pain. It is not a question of if there will be pain. It is a question of how bad will the pain be today. Sure. And things like rain and cold make it awful. And you can ask other pain patients. the rain and the cold, there's something about it with the barometric pressure. I'm not a doctor, but it's brutal. So, and that if I can, God willing, get through book 2, which I hope to do, but this Unbroken, Life Outside the Lines, has taken a lot out of me, because my coping mechanism has been to pack each trauma into a nice little box and put it on a shelf and just push it down, just bury it down as far as it can go and never, ever think about it. I know that's not a good coping mechanism, but it's the coping mechanism that I've been using. So writing Unbroken, I've taken everything out of the boxes.
Sure.
And it's been brutal. It's been brutal. Now, the second half of my life, the book number 2, and it'll be Unbroken, Falling Up. It's not as traumatic as book number 1, but there are some really messed up things. You know, me becoming disabled. I became a widow at the age of 35. And with my disability, I lost my independence. And that is something that for the first part of my life, I had relied on men and others to take care of me and to provide for me. I was very manipulative. I'd move from one man to the next. I know this doesn't make me sound great. I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah, it's okay.
No
judgment.
And I had become successful. I had become independent. When I left work, I was a senior financial planner at USAA, and they were asking if I was able to come back because they wanted to put me in a management role. And my health was just at the point where I couldn't. And, you know, my health these days, I say I am pharmacologically modulated. You know, I take uppers in the morning so that I can have the energy to get out of bed. I take pain pills to deal with the pain. I take Xanax for anxiety and go into sleep because my mind just races. So, and I don't do therapy because when I was in foster care, I had a therapist every other week. And then after the gun incident, I had intensive outpatient therapy. This is going to sound really, really snotty and high-handed, but at this point, I could lead the therapy classes. I could lead the program.
No, I know what you mean. I actually did therapy late last year because I was going through a mental health breakdown, and I attempted it, and it was like, it fell apart for a different reason, but it nonetheless, when I was doing it, I was like, I'm just doing it because I'm struggling right now. It's not because I really need it.
Right.
'Cause a lot of times I felt like I was the therapist. And
exactly.
It's hard for someone
when you know more than the therapist, you're not going to have a productive relationship.
Well, that, and I'm only 36 and she was 24. So I had 12 years on her, and I had a more tumultuous life. So it was like, how? I mean, she was really nice. She wasn't bad at her job, but it was like, man, I don't know if you have the wisdom to tell me how to live my life.
Exactly.
But something else you said earlier, just about like opening up, and you kind of opened up all your wounds with, the first book, and yeah, I mean, and I told you the other day on the phone, just eventually it gets a lot better. Like, because when I first started doing this, it was really depressing. It was really hard because I'm reliving everything. I'm telling people stuff that I didn't want to tell, I didn't want to think about. So let alone tell the public. And so
you understand.
Yeah. So as you do it, it'll only get better.
Thank you for that, TJ. I really, really appreciate that.
Anytime.
So I did want to just quickly, going back to Unbroken, Life Outside the Lines. I have two audiences. The first are the people who have gone through things or who are currently struggling with life's adversities. Like, this is a book of hope. But my second audience, what I hope to accomplish is to have my book included in the course curriculum for programs that deal with early childhood trauma. And this wasn't just my bright idea. My psychiatrist and another therapist, after they read the manuscript, my psychiatrist wants multiple copies of the book. She's going to give it to judges and people in CPS. We didn't cover the abuse I endured during CPS, but it's in the book. She's going to give it to the higher ups to try to make differences, systemic differences in the current environment. It's just, we're failing foster kids. In the state of Texas, if you're a ward of the state until 18, your college is free. They cover all tuition and fees. That's how I went to college. And when I did it, I had to hunt down the people to find out about the program. That's how new it was when I was doing it in 1997 and 98. But the other part of my book, is bear with me just a moment.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I'm just drawing a mind blank.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah.
So the people that have gone through struggles, I'll have to come back to it because it is not coming up.
That's all right. I've done that many times on here. It's just trying to brain fog is what I call it, and I get it every so often, and it just keeps me from.
Oh, I remembered. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Please continue.
No, I was just saying. I mean, brain fog. I get it a lot. It's frustrating because I don't know what's causing it, but I feel like sometimes my vocabulary is just like locked. It's like it's on ice. I'm trying to get
right.
There's things I know.
I lose words.
Yeah, I know what I want to say, but I just can't convey it. I can't spew it out.
Right. So I want this book to be used as part of the curriculum, and I plan on having my psychiatrist and the therapist, who was an intern, now she's a therapist, I plan on having them write letters, and I am going to mail my book to every dean of any psychology or counseling program that deals with childhood trauma. And I'm going to present the letters which explain how my book can be helpful, because my book isn't just a book about what happened to me. On my website, I have so when I was in my early 20s, I requested a copy of my CPS, Children's Protective Services, my CPS files, and they gave me every piece of paper that had ever been written about me. So not only do I have my story, I have the case study. I have what the psychiatrists were saying, the therapists were saying, delete that, the bitch from hell, what she was saying. I have documentation that can really make my story a case study. It's more than just me saying, oh, I went through bad things. It is an actual, there's information that I don't think anyone else has done it this way, where I've got the documents. They're going to be uploaded on the website. You can read about my psychiatric evaluation when I was 13 years old. You can read about, and in my book at the end, I am including my psychiatric evaluation and then the abuse diagram. When I first came into CPS, they had little outlines of a little, not a stick figure, but like a bubble figure, and they marked all the bruises and the damage. The last beating I got from my mother, she used a wooden clothes rod, the thing that you hang your clothes on in your closet. She used that to beat me. And I ended up laying on the floor with my hands over my head, and I had bruises up and down my right forearm because I was using it to cover my head. And if I hadn't had my arms there, she would have been swinging at my head. And when she was done, she told me, so I have a brother, David. She said, if you get David taken away from me, I will kill you. And I looked at her and I said, would you really kill your own daughter? And she said, well, if I bash your head into the concrete and you die, it won't be my fault. Those are the last words my mother said to me. Wow. And when she was relinquishing her rights from CPS, she gave up her rights. She wanted us to go live with, I had become friends with a very well-to-do girl and her family. They were supposed to adopt both my brother, my 4-year-old baby blonde-haired angel of a brother, and me. My mother gave us to them. And abandonment and rejection are huge recurring themes in my life. And they kept my brother and they got rid of me. They sent me to my aunt and uncles. And then from there, I went into therapeutic foster care, which was excessively abusive. The lady that lived next door worked in the prison system for 30 years. And I have a quote from a police report where this woman, this neighbor says, prisoners are treated better than how this woman, I'm not going to use her name, the bitch from hell, treats those girls. Prisoners are treated better. So.
Wow. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Have you ever been able to keep in touch with your brother?
Yes. Well, right now he's not speaking to me. I have no idea why. Oh. But he's a photographer, and there is a collection of photographs. It's his Vermont collection. And I sent him, so we're not speaking, but I sent him a formal letter with the legal document and a check for $1,000 because I want to use those images for my marketing and social media and all of that stuff. He sent the document back to me signed. He gave me the rights to those images. They are mine. But he said that he was not going to cash the check for $1,000, which I had included a check for $1,000. He said he wasn't going to cash it, and he just wanted me out of his life. Don't reach out to him. Don't talk to him. Don't send anything to his house. Like, his photograph is on the front and back of my book cover, and I give credit to him. But yeah, it's heartbreaking to me because when my mother had him, she wasn't able to raise him. I was raising him. And when she would get mad at him and go to hit on him, I was the one that, like, I got in the middle and I took the blows that she was intending for him. Like, I physically protected him with my body. So it's very difficult for me to understand why I have been cut out, but and I have no idea what I did, but it is the way it is. He had a daughter. I was very excited about being an aunt. And my aunt and uncle raised me. Their children. One of them has 2 daughters, Ellie and Piper. I consider them my nieces. They call me Auntie A. So if David doesn't want that relationship with me, I'm not going to push that. I have people in my life who want to be a part of my life. And that is all I need. So.
I'm glad I hope it all works out, but yeah, I'm glad that you know that. Thank you. That's why I offered my friendship the other day, because, like, you've been through a lot and can always use a good friend. It's always nice to know
Absolutely.
someone's in your corner. I try.
And people who've gone through trauma, we relate to each other differently than we do to people who've never experienced any sort of major trauma. But like my husband, I love him dearly, but he's never been through any of the kinds of things that you and I have been through. And he cannot relate. He tries to empathize, but he doesn't understand.
No, I got you.
He can't. It's not his fault. He can't. He's never been through anything like that.
Right. No, I can completely relate to that, because there are people in my life that haven't been through anything, and they're just like, man, I don't know, but things are going to be okay. And I'm like, yeah. But like when someone who's been through something, like there's times where I'm like, man, I'm sorry. I just haven't been checking on you, and I'm just been going through my own thing. And if they've gone through something, they're like, yeah, I know. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I know you're still there.
Exactly.
And vice versa. Like, it's like we don't sit here and count the times we haven't talked. We know, like,
right.
We all have a life. We all have things going on. We're all struggling with something or other. And hey, it's as long as we know that we still have each other's number or each other's social media. When we need to, we'll get in contact with each other. It's not anything
exactly. If you need them, they're there for you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, I really do appreciate you, for one, coming on, but I appreciate you for being so honest and vulnerable. I know you said you were nervous, but yeah, like I said, I appreciate it, because a lot of people don't get to hear this kind of honesty in most places, because a lot of people are afraid to be themselves and afraid to share their pain. But for me, that's what I've learned to do to help others, and I can tell you're going along the same path.
Absolutely. And if my story can help inspire anyone, whether they've gone through crap in the past or they're right in the middle of it, I want to be a beacon of light, and encourage them to take just one step, and then another step, and then another step. And then before they know it, they've made it past their struggle.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Well, you want to promote?
So again. Oh,
I was going to say, you want to promote your book again before we go?
Sure. Thank you. So my book is Unbroken: Life Outside the Lines. My name is Adriene Caldwell. My website is www.unbroken, so UN broken, Caldwell, CALDWELL.com. Go on my website, sign up with your name and email. You'll get a sample chapter to read. And then when the book is ready for purchase, I will notify you by email. That's the only time I'm going to email you. I'm not going to spam you. But I'd love to share my experience with readers, and to kind of be a beacon of hope, and let people know that it doesn't have to end the way that it starts. You're in control of your destiny, and you can take charge. Absolutely.
Well, thank you again. I appreciate it. This was a pleasure.
Well, TJ, thank you so much for having me on. This was really amazing. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I will talk to you later.
We shall talk soon.
Excellent. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. I'm glad she did that, because I couldn't find my phone to hang up. All right, guys, let's get out of here. I keep forgetting. I keep leaving Bullet's fountain on, so you hear the water the whole time. But I don't know. Maybe it's relaxing. If we see a Bullet, we'll say hi to you guys. I know. Bullet, want to smell the mic? Come here. Look. He's staring at it, but he's like, I don't feel like moving any closer. Look. No? All right. I was hoping to get him to come on for a minute, because, we talked a lot about a lot of dark and sad things. I was hoping that Bullet can show you the other side of life. Just a little bit of purring, just to get someone to feel a little better about themselves. But no, he's selfish. All right, but I'll remember that. Anyway, thank you guys again for being on this episode with me. I appreciate you guys. I know it's not the most conventional podcast. I just kind of sit down and the conversation goes wherever it goes without any control. And I'm fine with that. I just want something to be real and authentic, and I think because of production and AI and everything, like everyone spends so much time on making something sound good and look good, but they take the authenticity out of it. It's like two people just don't sit down anymore and just have a phone conversation or just a conversation. Get to know each other, learn a little bit about each other, hopefully, take some wisdom and go on with yourself. But now we just kind of, I don't know, we're in a weird place. I feel like we're lost more than ever. It's very hard to connect with others, even though it's easier than ever because it's not just a number, or you're not looking in the yellow pages for a name and a number. No, now you know what they look like, their kids' names, their favorite color. You know a lot of things about them, but yet it's impossible to communicate with them. Anyway, I appreciate you again, and please keep rocking with me here, and I'll see you guys next week, all right? See you guys later.